Hey guys, so I'm back with another video and this is going to be I guess the last part of our BlazingChat application, a real-time chat app using Blazor WebAssembly and SignalR. So we functionality wise we were almost done. So let's see what is remaining in this app. So let me run the app. So I'm running it and we have this unhandled error has occurred, reload, and let me zoom it a little. So you must have guessed it. So this is because the authentication token, the JWT token, that is expired. So we are getting this 401 because we are storing the token in local storage, and this token got expired when we try to run the app maybe after a day. So we have this token which I think validity of 8 hours, and after that token expires and we do not have any refresh token functionality or automatic regenerating the token. That functionality is not there. So first thing, let's try to at least fix it. Ideally it should have refresh token, but for now if we go to chat app and app is initializing, and this is fine if is authenticated. After that we are passing this token to this, right? So this authentication state dot is authenticated, that is true. But whenever we are coming to this page, first thing we should check if the token which we have is that expired or not, and we have that token in our authentication state dot token, this token. So this is JWT token. We need to check if this is expired or not, right? So first thing, we are going to check. How can we check it? I think we have a package by which we can check this. So let's go to NuGet package. We need to stop the app. Let's go to NuGet packages. NuGet package, where is it? Yeah. And Microsoft identity model, system.identity models, tokens.jwt. Let's install this. Okay, and from this we can check. I think there is a class JWT security token, something like this. Yeah, JWT security token. So let's call it JWT only. New JWT security token, and we can pass our JWT token to this one. So we can pass this authentication token. Now after that we can check JWT dot. We have all these claims: subject, actor, audience. So we can get the, where is the valid 2, the expired token exp value. Yeah, this is valid 2. So if this valid 2 is less than or equals to the current time, which is datetime dot now. If this is the case, this means, what is the issue? Valid 2. Okay, that means token is expired. So navigate to login page, right? So this is the case. So let's move out to this to a method private, let's say bool is token expired, and let's have this thing here. So if this is the case, we will return true, token is expired. If this is not the case, we would simply return false, token is not expired. And then we will check it here if is not authenticated or is token expired. If this is the case, then it should navigate to the slash, that is login page in our case. If that's not the case, everything will work as expected, right? So let's save it. Not just navigate, in this case we should, in this case we should remove the token from the storage and we should reset it to what we can say, reset it to the empty state, blank state basically. So the same functionality is being handled by handle logout, right? And navigation part, this is automatically being handled on our layout page, main layout. We have this authentication state changed, this event, and it checks if there this property has been changed and is it not authenticated, then it will navigate the user to slash page. Okay, so that means we should change it. If it was not authenticated, just return. If that's not the case, if it came here, so let's have this private async bool, and not bool, in this case we will check task of bool is token expired. If this is the case, we will return true, but before that we will log out the user. So for that, await, we can call the same handle logout, which actually does both of these things. From the local storage, it removes the state and then it calls authentication state unload state, which actually sets it to default and sets is authenticated to false. So it is going to handle all the cases, and then we are going to, let's change it to handle token expired, or let's call it is token expired only, is token expired, and we are going to check it inside this else method. If not is token expired, if token is not expired, then only do all these operations. It should be a wait. Is token expired, sync. If this is not the case, then do all these. If this is the case, just call handle logout, which is going to reset the state. Fine. So now we are good with this thing. Let's try to run it. If we will run it this time, it should navigate this current user to the login page. Let's check. We are here, right? We were on slash chat page, and now if we check the local storage for our application, let me zoom it out as well. There is no local storage with that user or whatever name we have set, that auth state, that is not here. Let's try same thing in this one. First let's check application local storage. We cannot check it. chat page. We have auth key. Now it got removed. Yeah, it was good. Now login. And now you see we have this auth key and this complete details of the user. Close. It has all these things. Now if we log in it, login, and now we have auth key here, the same state, and we have this thing here as well. In left side we can see the chats, and if we go to the Chrome window we can also see the chat, and now this user is online, and in this window this user is online. That means everything is working as before. We simply handled the initial case, right? But this is not the, this could be a case, but there could be a scenario that we want to handle this token expiry silently. That means whenever token is being expired, we will simply request a new token, generate a new token. So that is handled using refresh tokens. So refresh tokens is a concept. So if you guys want me to create a dedicated video on refresh tokens, how can we generate refresh token, how can we handle the JWT token expiry using the refresh tokens, how can we silently generate the new JWT tokens using refresh tokens, do let me know in the comments. I will create a dedicated video on refresh tokens. Okay, so we handle this. Now next thing we are going to do, in last part we were doing something, then I noticed something. So this UI, if I click on something else, the user which do not have a chat with, so this was coming out of the window, if you would see, because of this message. There is no message between you and random user, and it was coming here. So in this case, let's fix this. So the simple fix could be that error message, this error message, we could simply move this error message to this messages list section. If we save it, if we check it, do we need to refresh? Let's try. Okay, for main user it is fine, for some other user it is also fine, right? So if you see, the error message is still there, but this is not error message. So let's change it to a simple maybe a warning message without this cross. So for that, instead of this error message, we will simply going to handle another variable. Let's call it message only, and this message, oh, we already have messages, let's call it maybe warning message, but this is not a warning, this is somehow indicator. So let's say info message. This info message, this is nullable, there is no message, so we will set it here. And if we have this, so we will set it null here, and same thing when we are sending it, we will set it to null here also. Error sending message, this is fine, this is fine. So info message, so this info message, we are going to do the same thing we are doing for error message, we will do for info message. Info message, info message, and from here we could remove this button, this close cancel button, and instead of BG danger, we could have something the yellowish color. Now if we save it, if we check, we need to refresh, it's here, let's check, still the red color. Why still red color? Didn't it pick the actual value? BG danger, the second if, Did we miss something? Error message, BG danger, info message, BG warning, and we are setting info message at the correct place. Info message, clearing out, setting. If there is no message, we are setting info message, right? Okay, maybe we need to hard refresh. Okay, so it's here. I had to stop the app and rerun from Visual Studio. So now we have this message, and if we send something to this user, that message is not here, that got removed. Now if you check for this, we have this user, and now next thing is we got this. What is the next thing on my list? Okay, so when this screen came, you see when we have a chat history, so at this time the scroll bar, it is at the top, but it should be at the last message, right? So for that we need to use JavaScript for this. How can we get it? Okay, fine. So for that, this is chat details page. If we check, we have this UL, we have this li, so we need to scroll this box to the last li, and if we check li, so we have this UL. Let's add a ID here, and this should be, we could name it whatever we want, but let's call it messages UL. Okay, messages UL. We could get it from this one also, but let's do using messages UL. Now we have a global JavaScript, right? We had these JavaScript functions. So let's add one more function. We would say scroll to what, or let's say scroll to, just no, window.scroll to is already there. Scroll to element elm, and here we would say element id, but in this case this is kind of tightly coupled with this because there is no id. Because what we will do, we will fetch the last li from this. We cannot have ids on li. We could have classes, but then we somehow need to fetch the last class. So the better approach could be just use messages ul and then fetch the last li. So okay, we are not making this function generic, so scroll to last message. This is fine, it will not take anything. And now we can get the last li, last messages or last message li. We can use document dot query selector, and then we have this messages ul, and inside this we have li, and we want to get the last child of this li. We will check if there are any elements. So we will check if last message li, then we need this to be in the viewport. So we have a JavaScript method which says scroll into view, and it takes arguments boolean scroll into view option. So it should work like this, but it will be instant. So when this function is going to be called, it will be instant. So if the scroll bar is at the top, it will directly scroll to the last li without showing the smooth effect. So we could have a function there was something, I think, behavior that is smooth. So using this, there is going to be a small smooth effect when it is scrolling to the last ally. There will be a scrolling effect. Now we need to call this from our chat details page once the chat is loaded. So when this message is load message async, and when we have these messages all message list, then we can call that, right? But maybe let's call it after this thing. On parameter set we have this, but this is not the right place. So we have another method that is override a render after render on after render async. Okay, and then we can have a boolean, we could say scroll to bottom, something like this. By default it will be false and we will set it to true here. So scroll to bottom is equals true. So we will check here, let's change it to async. Now let's check if scroll to bottom is enabled, then first thing set it to false and then call that method. So for that method we need to inject our JavaScript. So we are using JS on our layout page, so we will use the same thing. So we have JS runtime, and we will call that method here. So await JS runtime dot invoke void async, because we are not expecting any return value, right? So in this we will pass this. There are no parameters to this, so we should be good now. And yes, it should be fine. Let's rerun and let's check. Okay, it's loading, and if we see there is some error, let's check what is the error. Console, and it says scroll to last message was undefined. JS exception could not find this thing. Didn't we use the same way? Go to layout, main layout, window.get from storage. Yes. app.js, window.get from storage, window.scroll to last message. This is the right way. Okay, maybe it was not able to load the new script file. Yes, it is getting it from cache. Yes, you saw that it was here and it showed that effect, smooth scrolling, right? Fine, so we are good now. And at this time also, you see we sent a message and the scroll bar is still here. At this time also it should scroll to this. So we have two approaches for this. No, not two approaches, we should follow the same approach. So on after render async, this is going to call in any case. So let's, after sending the message, if success status code was true, so we will set, after adding it to message, we will say just enable it, scroll to bottom. So it will now, when this function is going to be called at this time, the li, that will be the last li, the new message which we just added. So let's stop and rerun. Okay, so this is loading, let's wait for it. No message, and yes, it scrolled, fine, it again scrolled, and let's check this time. You saw this may send and this scroll bar scrolled. Now let's do the same thing in Chrome. Let's hard refresh it, and we are here. Hi, and it also okay. Now I think there is one more case. If we send this message, this is scrolled, but this thing is not scrolled again. Did you check it? Did you see it? This hi message, it was coming from the other end. So at this time also it should scroll. So for this, let's check where are we getting this. So we are getting that here. So let's set the same flag to true here also. Save it and maybe rerun. Let me hard refresh both the instances. Okay, so if we, yes, we are here, and on Chrome window, let's check, we are here, and let's send a message from here. It got, and it also worked. Right, let's try like this. So you saw at this time also. So at all three times basically, when this screen is first getting loaded, when we are sending a message, or when we are receiving the message. So this scroll bar, this is working for all three cases. So this is also working. Next thing, on this page, let's do it full screen. Right, this BlazingChat, we can get rid of these extra spaces. So where is this space? We added it to the card BR0 MT5 margin top 5. Fine, we could get empty maybe 1. Fine, border radius 0, empty 1, but in this case we have this height, and this is coming from where? This is coming from, where is it coming from, this height? Is this coming from the card body? Yes, card body. In this case, Kelsey 100 VH minus 150 px. So maybe at this time we can get just 50 px. And no, this is not fine. Let's have it 60 px. No, 70, 80, 75. The same from top and bottom, so 75. And now if this is 75, we need to expand the height of this section also, right? So first thing, let's do it on Visual Studio. So MT1 on card, let's do it. Chat details page, we have that card on chat page. Card empty 5, it should be empty 1. Then we have, oh, we have that in CSS. So instead of 150 we will have it 75, and same thing we will go to chat details, this 150px, so it will be 75. Now save all, stop, and I'm going to rerun it and hard refresh both the instances. Okay, so we have this is working, this is fine, everything looks fine now. Fine, everything is okay now. So next thing on my list is, yeah, when we first clicked on it, let's refresh it, I want to show this. Refresh, and when we click on this, so it takes some time to fetch the records. At that time we are not sure that if something is happening or no, right? So we should show a loading indicator. So for that, let's go to chat details page and let's have a private variable here. Loading messages, default value false, and set it to true when we are loading the messages. Let's wrap it inside try finally for now. We will set it to true, loading up the messages. Then we will move all this logic, and for now let's get rid of this exception. We will simply use finally to reset this so that it is not stuck if there is some exception or something. Loading messages is false here, and now use this loading messages to this message list. We will check if the loading messages is true, then we can have that loading indicator. We have for users, right? The same thing, go to users list and we have this thing. We can use this directly here. Okay, this is in li. Okay, we could use it directly inside this UL. Fine, let's cut it from here, use it here, and then this should be in else part. Loading messages. Looks fine. Save, rerun. It's here. You saw that loading messages indicator. Let's add a breakpoint so that I can show that to you. Go to messages controller, right? Go to server app, controllers, and messages controller, and here get messages. I have added a breakpoint, and now let's go here. You see this loading messages, it will show this indicator, and once the response is ready, then it will simply continue from there. Oh, what happened? Okay, continue, and now it would show the message. Same thing, second loading indicator, continue, we got message, it scrolled to the bottom. So I think everything is in place now. And now if we check, we have everything, but there is one thing, this authentication state. Yeah, two things actually. On this chat page, we are calling this get client, which is actually setting this authorization header. But so it is being used on chat page, on chat details page. So for these HTTP calls, maybe we could have some, if we are expanding this app, then it could be used at some other places also. So the better approach would be either creating a separate service for all HTTP client requests, or if we are not doing that, then at least we could create an extension method on HTTP client which is going to set this authorization header. So these two approaches we could try. And then for this authentication state, so what I am thinking, maybe we are abusing the cascading parameter, right? So from main layout, we are using this authentication state as cascading value. Then this thing is being used on almost each and every page and component. So the better approach would be for this one, just create a singleton service, inject that service in all the components or pages wherever it is required. Because this is a WebAssembly project, so singleton or scope both are going to behave the same way, and singleton is for the single browser instance, we could say. So all the components and pages are going to share the same instance, so we can access the same values, current state, and we can get all these things working. So without cascading parameter, we could directly inject, we could create this class as a state only, then we could register it as singleton, then inject it at all the places wherever it is required. So that way it would be a better approach. Then this app, this is missing exception handling at couple of places, so you guys can try that also to handle the exceptions at multiple places. So for now, I think that's all pretty much for this app. Do let me know in the comment, how did you like this series? Did you like this series complete? Blazor, WebAssembly and SignalR real-time chat application. And did you learn something? So do let me know in the comments. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe this channel. And don't forget to ring that bell icon. Press that bell icon so that you get the notification whenever I upload new videos. Okay, so I'll be back with some other content. Bye bye.